Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of the Coworking Values podcast. Caleb, I've been willing to do this for like 4 or 5 years.
No, not that long. Come on.
I keep on going. I must get Caleb on the show. But before, I haven't started like I normally do. Caleb Parker, what are you known for, and what would you like to be known for?
Gosh, I'd like to be known for champion entrepreneurs and helping people grow businesses.
And what are you known for now? Because
what am I known for now? Maybe a podcast. It depends on who you ask, I suppose.
yeah. Well, that's interesting. What do you think people would say?
Well, someone earlier said that I was inspiring, so I appreciated that.
I'd love for someone to, like, people do say that to me every now and then. I don't know, I'm just kind of pretending.
Bernie, you are inspiring. You're always on Instagram, and I don't do the videos on Instagram as much as you do. I barely do them, but when you do them, it inspires me to want to do them.
That's
as a content creator.
It's like that actually, I mean, we'll get to co-working in a minute, folks, but that daily thing, I've been looking for years for something I can do, a little thing I can do every day that's really easy. And there's now like 200 of those. And I was going through my computer the other day, and I was like, oh my God. So imagine you did, when you got to like 200 podcasts, you're like, oh my God.
I haven't got to 200 podcasts yet. No, it's 100 and maybe close to 20 now.
Yeah. So what I really wanted to ask you for is, there's like 4 different segments to this podcast. So one is, and we're speaking to like independent co-working space owners, mainly there's like a load in the US and a load in Europe. And there's this kind of, you are one of the people, probably you and Slummers are the only people I follow for like what's going on in real estate, because I'm not a real estate guy. So I sort of go and check what's going on there.
Do you think I'm a real estate guy?
No, I know you're not a real estate. I see what you did there. But you understand that market. You're an authority in that market. Okay.
Thanks.
And I remember standing in Exchange on several construction events, and people who work in that industry looking out on the city saying, oh, I wonder how many empty offices are there, or like, why are they building all that stuff again? And like, what is actually happening in the city? Do people like not come to are people who own those buildings panicking, or is that just what we read online and in the media and hype and stuff like that?
I think in the real estate game, the decisions are being made years in advance, because if you have a project that you're developing from scratch or repositioning, it takes sometimes a year or two to even acquire the asset or to get planning approved. And then there's another 18 months of construction. So you're really thinking many years ahead. And so it's hard to panic when in the moment. You have to really think long term. What's the macro trends look like? And so, having said that, yes, of course, you might not see it on people's faces, but there's definitely panic. But I don't mean to say that dramatically, because at the same time, there's panic. The panic is the uncertainty. I think we all can agree that coming together face to face is massively important, especially as we move into a virtual world. That becomes even more valuable to come together face to face. But coming in every single day doesn't make sense anymore for everybody. And that's where the uncertainty comes, because if people aren't coming in every day, then, well, what is the office?
What do I do with my big shiny building?
What do I do? What's its purpose?
Because the area I know around Liverpool Street, which is in the city of London, is Broadgate. Like, I first worked in a restaurant in like the early 90s in Broadgate. I've just seen that now they're taking it all down and putting it all back up again. And it's like, is that like a 40-year project, or that sorting that out and what it will do?
Well, if you look at 22 Bishopsgate, for instance, which is not far from there, that's a 100-year project. When they build that, they're building it for 100 years.
Yep.
Obviously, there's going to be some change throughout the 100 years. But when you make that sort of investment in 1.4 million square feet, it's not going to be gone in 10 years.
So the other, just to jump in, do you not get like a bit exhausted about should we go to the office? Because that was around in 2019, pretty much. And I remember people from big shiny companies coming to co-working conferences and saying, oh, so, why are you here? And they're like, well, we're downsizing our real estate footprint and we're looking into co-working and stuff like that. And then, COVID and everything happened. But I can't understand why it's still, like, I just can't read another post about should we go to the office on LinkedIn.
There's a lot of vested interest. Yeah. And I think there's in the real estate world, people that maybe aren't panicking outwardly are standing up trying to defend the office, yelling, come back to the office. You have to be in the office to collaborate. You have to be in the office to be successful. And I think during the COVID years, and I'd love to do another podcast in the future where we don't have to mention the word COVID again, but during those years, the world learned you don't have to be in the office. Before COVID, we didn't have to be in the office. We didn't know it. Going through that, in every company tooling up to be successful without having to be face to face. So that's what's changed. And now with people that are in office space, who sell office space, whose salary is dependent upon people being in the office, they just jump up and say, you got to get back in the office. When in reality, well, yeah, you do sometimes, or do you? And some people don't, but some people do. And there's a lot of nuance to that. And I think that's what's getting missed. Because to me, it's plus not versus. It's not the home office or the work office or the office versus home. It's both.
Yeah, I think it's the autonomy that if I worked in a company, I would go and work in a company that gave me autonomy and gave me choice, and I would expect to say, can you come in so we're all together every now and then, because it's nice to look each other in the eye. And I think I saw put a post on LinkedIn the other day about how it's great, it's very convenient being virtual and Zoomy and everything, but like when you're sitting down with a client and talking about a project, like even this, like doing podcasts in person is like way more, boom than. It's more convenient to do it all on Zencaster or Riverside or whatever you're using, but there's a what's the word? Energy.
It's physio. I can't even say the word, but physiological response that we get by being around other people. We get endorphins from high fives, fist bumps, and hugs, and just being around other people. It is that energy. But do we need it every day? Not necessarily. Some people need it more than others, and that's where the nuance comes in.
I need a lot of space, so like not having to go anywhere is like it's very convenient. So what's so the other thing is when you talk a lot about brand, and I feel like when you're talking about brand, it's like big brand, and then like what does brand mean to you? Because you're well into brand, aren't you?
I'm a strong believer in brand, and to me, a lot of people when they think about brand, they think about a hotel that comes to mind, the big hotel brands, Marriott, Hilton, or they might think of Nike, or Adidas, or you could think of Richard Branson and his personal brand, and then Virgin Records, Virgin Airlines, Virgin Money. That's all brand to most people. I believe brand is an idea. I think brand is you start an individual who's the founder or co-founder of a company. They're the person who has this idea that, holy crap, that's not good enough. Let's fix that, whatever it is. And they want to solve that problem. But then what they do is they call it something, the solution. They call the solution something. And that ends up being the brand. But really what's the brand is it's the values around what that solution is solving. Now, follow me on this, if I can say it, what's in my head and make it come out my mouth the right way. So if we are authentic with our values and what we stand for, like for instance, brave, I believe that innovators, entrepreneurs, people who really want to win make the world a better place. And I believe people who are purpose driven make the world a better place. And so I think it's important that we champion those people. We help companies grow with great cultures to attract those people. Nike, if you look at their story, Nike's a shoe brand. But really, Phil Knight found athletes inspiring. But not just any athlete. He felt like the overcoming triumph, the hard work, the discipline, the whole journey that an athlete goes through to be successful. He found that inspiring. So he built a brand around championing those athletes, and he inspired millions of other people, and then they bought a shoe. So to me, brand is the value, it's the belief system that gets aligned with whatever you call it.
Yeah. What's the line between, because have you ever seen there's a Phil Knight thing where someone says what's Nike about, and he goes, the person we're selling to is the person standing under the lamppost in the rain.
Yeah.
Like that. I'm like, so I get that. And then on the other side, there's like this consumer thing. So I see loads of people there's so many people walking around wearing sportswear that aren't using it for sports, So there's like Phil Knight's, like, and I love my Nike running app, and I'm like into the whole thing, and like the same with Apple, I'm just, I believe that my computer device is my creativity machine, that I'm I'm sucking in, But then over here, there's this like consumer story of like, let's just ship loads of stuff and things like that. And there seems to be like that strong brand promise. And then after a while, it kind of turns into just stuff. He says, waving his hands in the air.
Yeah, I think that the Nike put athletes at the center of their universe. They put the journey they go through at the center of the universe, and they align the shoe, the product they're selling, with the success of those athletes. But if the shoe was crap, it wouldn't have worked. The shoe still had to be a good product. And you tell that story, and you align the product and the values. You put the superstar at the center of the story, and then that's what inspires people. In our world, in office real estate and co-working, in the Brave universe, our athletes, our superstars are the professionals who want to get shit done, who want to make a positive impact on the world. And that's who we want to highlight. And those are the values that we aspire to.
So when did you because I see all your stuff online, and I think like there's a lot of thought put into this, like it's like, I often feel like you're doing now what's going to matter in 10 years time. And I'm quite fascinated by the whole Brave universe, like I've watched all the bits come together, and I was like, that does make sense. And that does, I can see that. Then I have a conversation with, Yuri, and I go, I get it now. And it seems like this thing that's going somewhere, but I keep on, and I've asked you this before, like, when did you start thinking about this? Like, was it a lemonade stand or something like that?
I think
there's like I always feel that it's like, and you don't give a shit. Like, just let's go. And
I've been on this journey for over 10 years. I stumbled into entrepreneurship when I was like 19 years old. And maybe if we go back to my time playing American football, I was the smallest kid on the football team in the beginning, and then I ended up working hard and getting a little bit bigger and faster and stuff. But I always had a chip on my shoulder, and that chip on my shoulder sort of led me to embrace entrepreneurship and fall in love with it. And then I started along the way on my own journey, studying other entrepreneurs and seeing the impact they made on the world. And I came to my own realization. I don't know exactly when it was, but that it is the entrepreneur, it is the people who are sort of challenged the status quo that are making the world better. And I just wanted to if I was this is maybe a bad example, but if I was a teacher, the impact I make on the world is not 30 kids I teach. It's what they go on and do, who I inspire. Me as an entrepreneur, my impact isn't just about what I do. It's about all the other entrepreneurs I help become successful. And so about 10 years ago, I can't tell you exactly when, I just made it my life's mission that I wanted to support and champion entrepreneurs. That's my life's mission. And I've done that in a couple of different vehicles. Brave is the latest one.
And what is, so, I mean, obviously, like, there's community around that, and like, you think about community, and what is, I'm trying not to say what does community mean, because like, I can't ask that question again. But like, so if someone's listening, let's ask it this way: if someone's listening to this, and you're like, why you need a community? And we kind of, I think to people like you and me that have a community and stuff going on, and podcast and email, where there's just there's always an audience, people listening. Sometimes people sending you like nasty messages, but there's a thing there. And then someone starting out is like, how did they get all those people, or like where do I find my community? And I was talking about this today. I've sat in a co-working space with someone, and they're so why are people, say it was your space, like, Caleb, why are people going to come here? Why are people going to come to this building? Oh, it's all about the community. But like, there's no one here. Oh, but it will be about the community. But like, and he didn't understand how to get the community and why it was important. He just heard people like us probably saying community so many times. He thought it was, if I buy a building and some Wi-Fi, someone will bring me the community as part of the software package.
Well, this is why I think both brand and co-working plays a big role in the future of office in real estate. And I'm not a real estate guy. I'm learning a lot, but I think real estate has been about providing a white box to companies for at least a century now. You provide a white box to a company, and the company turns it into their own branded box. But there's a lot of nuance, because in the old days, the employees of that company had to fit into that branded box. And now, I think, because if you ask 100 people the same question, you get 100 different answers of what they want in an environment that's going to help them be successful at their work. And so I think the co-working world is an opportunity for brand and community to come together to create success. But let me get a little bit deeper to that, because I think you want me to be
Yeah.
zoom in. So to me, it's first about saying, okay, what bothers us? What do we care about? What's our why? What's our own individual purpose? And then put that front and center in all our communications. And then we attract people who are aligned with that. Some people care about getting rid of oil in the world. Some people care about saving animals. Some people care whatever it might be. That's what we have to communicate, and then we attract people who are aligned with that. And then the more those people grow, then we're in the center of a community that we've curated. Now, how do you align that with co-working? Well, decide who you want to support. Who do you want to help be successful in their professional life? Start communicating your values, attract people who are aligned with that, and that's who you support.
It is really simple, because there's like different stages of my career I made decisions to be like this. Oh, these are my people. These are my people. And every time I'm over like playing with the people that are not my people, even though there might be more money and glamour there, I have to come back to the 9-inch Nails David Bowie camp and out of the Taylor Swift camp. But it's
Well, I think music plays a big role in that.
Yeah.
Music's actually a good example of community. And Taylor Swift created an amazing, huge community.
All my she played in Madrid last week, or was it this week? And every dad with a teenage girl in our city is talking about, should I take my kid to the Taylor Swift conference? And I think it's amazing. Like, and have you seen this on TV? Like, people, if you watch TV, who watches TV, seeing this, people are flying from the States to come to Taylor Swift conferences in Europe. Concerts in Europe, because it's cheaper to get on a plane, come to Europe, see Taylor Swift, and go back than it is to buy a ticket. And I don't really agree with the economics of it, but like, that is an amazing business model.
Well, sports is another community. How many people travel to go see their favorite team play, and they're around other people who love that team? I mean, people travel in the States, for instance. Whether it's college football, whether it's NFL, NBA, WNBA. They're all people. The fans are traveling, and I think it's the key to community is creating fans. How do you create fans? And you create fans by creating environments where they feel like they belong and they feel taken care of, and they're around like-minded people.
There's a bit of repelling as well. I think if you like, I've heard it.
When you say repelling, what do you mean?
Like, I would say, I mean, I haven't had a reason to do this right now, but I would, in different websites, I would say like, this is who it's not for.
So I understand what you're saying, and I disagree. I think you don't have to say this is who it's not for. You can say we are about, and then people will naturally choose themselves.
Yep. That's actually what I'm doing at the moment, like the way I've worded it. But if I was trying to think of a product, if I thought it would be effective to say, like, if you come to, actually I say it sometimes, like, if you're like really, I used to say on the front of one of my websites, if you're really interested in golf days, this is not going to interest you, because I just knew a lot of people who went to networking groups, drank a lot of gin and tonic, and I didn't. It was actually aimed at one or two people who I knew would read my website. And when do people? I have loads of arguments about this. Like, when do you? So if I get a building and I want to start a co-working space, when do I start thinking about brand? Is it like before I even get the building, or is it like 5 years down the line when I've got revenue? Like, what's your?
I think the first thing you do is decide who do you want to help become successful in their professional life. So that the moment you do that, you start thinking about your values and how you share those values with those people. You're starting to create brand, because brand is not the sticker and the logo. Brand is the idea. What are people going to align with and aspire to? For us, we attract people who feel courageous. They want to feel courageous. They want to make brave moves. They want to challenge the status quo.
And then I'm really glad you said that, because I've just met so many people that spend loads of money on their logo and everything like that. And then there was one like, how would you, in the same person, like, because I was about to like tell you what I think, and this is a podcast. How do you put your values together?
I think it's soul searching. and if you're an individual, it's a lot easier. When you have a co-founder or more business partners, then there's debate around that because everybody has. I mean, having values is a very individual thing. But where a community starts coming together is when you have the shared values. So to me, it's important to work with people you have a similar ethos with. In my instance, I have two co-founders. We don't all share the exact mindset on how our brand should look and feel and what values we put out to the world, but we have enough overlapping. So when we create the brand, we're sharing those common values that overlap.
That's really good. Do you think this is a bit philosophical, like because like do you think hospitality is a value in the way Ian says it's the art of hospitality? So there's a, do you know what I mean?
I think how you deliver hospitality is driven by the values that you have as a brand. And actually, I think the way you deliver hospitality reinforces your brand. Because if you think about, we talk about space as a service. I love the word space as a service as a category. But we can debate that another time. But space, what is service? Service is giving something to someone, is helping somebody in some way. It's what you do for someone. But hospitality is how you make them feel.
Yeah. Tell me about space as a service because I was like, oh, you're making up for. I have this feeling which is different from a research thing. When I see that thing, it's like you're you're calling something that already exists something different to repackage it. And
So, well, the way I look at it, and I actually,
I actually thought, sorry,
yeah,
I'll just hold hands. I thought it would go away, but it stayed there. So now we're gonna have to like.
well, I think Anthony Slumbers or Duke Long over in the States, they both kind of came up with that phrase at the same time several years ago, and I've just taken a hold of it because it really aligns with what I believe with the way offices used to be done. Like going back to the white box, you give space to somebody and they do what they want to with it. But what space as a service is, it's providing somebody with the exact space they need for the exact time they need it for the exact task they need to do. And so you're not just giving somebody a space, you're giving them the right space for the right time for the right need. Mm-hmm. To me, that's space as a service, but it's a play on software as a service. Because the idea is that you don't have to go out and buy a big server anymore. You can go onto AWS and spin up as much data as you want at whatever time you need it. And so it's space, it's the same thing.
So when I've only just thought of this, so excuse me not being right. So if there's like space as a service, because we used to when we were, because hospitality used to be called catering, and then even before that it would be I work in the service industry because you were a food server and that kind of thing. And is there so when you're do you have this picture in your mind of like you're serving people space, or is it like I'm a service provider?
I think it's about solutions.
Yeah.
It's about you think about going back to who you're trying to serve. You're trying to serve them in a way that's going to help them be successful in their professional life. Whatever impact they're trying to make on the world, whatever why they have, you're trying to help them get there. Space is just one of the tools to help them get there, but you want to give them the right space, the right solution at the time they need it. And that's going to vary for everybody, and it's going to vary for one person, maybe different times of the day or different parts of the week. So to me, like, to go back to service, I think there's a lot of restaurants in London, across Europe, that provide service. Sometimes you might call it bad service, but if they provide you the food on time, it tastes good and all that stuff, but they're really not friendly with you, you don't feel good, even though they provided you the service. Hospitality is actually make you feel good about that service.
I spent years working as a waiter, bartender. Like I've done it all, mate. And very so often, I love this way this has come into the hospitality thing has come in, and it used to be so much fun working in a good bar with a good team, and everyone's having a good time, and it just like time flew by because you were so connected. I don't mean like connected like I really built a relationship with that guy buying a Budweiser off me in the match, but there was a vibe going on in the whole thing, and it was infectious, and a lot of it was just the enjoyment of taking care of people.
And it's a mindset, right? And I think when we're in our industry or hiring people to be on our teams, it's important when I talk about sharing values and communicating and putting that front and center. Yes, to attract customers, it's also to attract team members. You want team members who are aligned with that, because really, if you take that example you just gave and multiply that, because that was just a one time that person comes in and maybe he's a loyal customer or she, and they come back once a month, once every other week, or whatever. But imagine being in the same building on every week, and being able to have that connection with that person. So to me, when we're hiring people, it's important for us to be attracting people that are aligned with our values, but also are going to, because I think they're going to be the best friends of our customers. And if we think about it in that way, like when we launched up in Manchester, it was important for us to have a community manager that was going to not make sure that our space was run well. Yes, that's a given. But they have to be able to be friends with the people. People are coming into the building because they want to give fist bump to him every day or her every day.
That is so huge. There's when you like, I know people that don't. I mean, probably we both know like companies that don't do that. When you open your brand in a local space, like say, let's go back to the restaurant thing. If you open your branded, well-known thing in a local space, and it doesn't have this bloodline connection to the local area, I always think it costs you so much in the long run.
It does. I mean, community is not just about the people in your building; it's about the people around your building.
And I've seen probably work for a few people where they've just gone and set up something and they've like tried to tell everyone this is how it's done, and then no one's gone there. Like those places aren't around anymore, but no one's gone there. And a big reason, part of the reason they didn't go there was because they didn't want to. It didn't feel like home. It didn't feel like they could do stuff there. How often? I love asking people this. Like, how often would you change your values? Like, you just started Brave. Do you sort of review it every 5 years, or like, we keep talking about that, but we talk about these four, but we never talk about this one here. Like, how do you? I think sense check what you're doing.
I think values to me are and there's a whole podcast around this probably, but values aren't something that you just write down and put in the corner. Values are the things that you live and breathe all the time. And really, do values change? Yeah, of course, we change as individuals as we grow as people. What we valued when we were 18 might be different than today. But I think it's more when we have a community and when we grow a community both as our team and our customers, the ethos changes a little bit because you're adding more ingredients to the community, and you have to let it be organic. But there's certain things that you don't change. If you have a value that you believe strongly that we shouldn't eat animals. I eat animals. I don't have that value, and hope I don't offend anyone. But if you believe that strongly, you're not going to change that. If that's one of your core values, you're not going to change that. So you have to really think about what are your core values, but then you do sort of let your community drive that organically a little bit as well.
Yeah, because it's
a balance. It's a balance, and there's not one solution for that.
It's I think there's this thing where you're like, I've heard. How many business books have you read where someone says, you just can't write your mission statement, can't send your mission statement to the marketing department of values and put them up on the wall and hope everyone gets into it. It's like that constant engagement. So I feel we're at the end of our time because I haven't been paying attention, but like, where can we find you online? Don't suppose you have an email or a podcast to sign up to or help,
Yeah, I mean, Google Caleb Parker. I'm on socials at Caleb_Parker.
Does that work? I can say Google Bernie Mitchell, and there's me or a drywall sculptor in Canada that comes up.
Well, there's a couple Caleb Parkers out there, so you might get the wrong one. I'm definitely not a rock star in California, or in prison in Wisconsin. Good. But no, I mean, if my website's bravecorp.co. If you /Caleb, there's some stuff there. But yeah, I'm on the socials.
And where's the best place to keep up with you on social media?
I'm pretty prolific on LinkedIn.
Yep.
But some behind the scenes stuff on Instagram.
Behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, some karaoke sometimes.
And we're doing this in Urban MBA, and thanks for all the help we gave. I think like
big fan of Kofi and his work. It's so good, and it's great to see this place come alive. When we launched the exchange at 22 Bishopsgate, and we met Kofi for the first time through your introduction, I believe.
It was a London co-working assembly.
Yeah, it was just hearing how he's helping people. It just spoke to me personally, and I did everything I could to help with that, and to have him at 22 Bishopsgate and Urban MBA there for a year was phenomenal. And now to see this place and see what he's doing.
This came through a London co-working assembly,
Of course it does. You got all the connections, Bernie.
We have connections, I mean, Go and have some connections because I'm a bit short. Thank you for your time and attention today, ladies and gentlemen. If you go to coworkingvaluespodcast.com, you can see all the other podcasts we've done and subscribe to our newsletter. And thanks again for your time today, Caleb Parker.
My pleasure.